This is Sal, and you are listening to the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast on the BS Podcast Network.
In a world of ordinary fantasy football podcasts, ordinary guys rise up to bring you extraordinary analysis and entertainment. This is the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts Kevin Cotillo, Sal Lito, and Stephen Marcus.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today is Tuesday. It is October 31st. Happy Halloween, everyone. This is the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Kevin. What, is that a ghost? Steve, is there a ghost?
Absolutely. We got a ghost on the
There is.
podcast.
There is a ghost on the podcast tonight. That's pretty impressive.
It's Sal. We've barely seen him.
Hello.
In Sal's defense, I think I missed more episodes than he did.
Yeah, man. Why don't you back up off me, Steve Marcus?
Yeah,
All
give him a break.
All right. I'm going to shift my...
You know, I listened to that episode the other night with you guys. 10 minutes of absolute bitching, whining. It was pretty pathetic. I was all ready to come on here and just be like, Jesus Christ, Kevin, buckle up your pants and be a man. And I had a really
I'm going to be honest with you.
I had a really
My-
day.
I'm going to be honest with you. My pants are buckled. I'm in the bathroom again, and they are still on. That's good.
Oh, my God. But, I had a tough day today with car issues, and I was just like, I feel bad for Kevin.
I do not. No one needs to feel bad for me. Things are better. They're getting better every day. We're getting used to this apartment or new situation, and as many people have told me and reminded me over and over again, my problems pale in comparison to many, many others. So I complain because I'm an angry little man, and there's really no reason for me to complain.
Don't forget spoiled.
Oh, yes, also spoiled. Yes, that is very correct, Steve.
I didn't take you for a little man, but
No, I'm not.
angry
I'm not.
and spoiled, I would.
Yeah, angry and spoiled are definitely accurate. So we'll go with an angry and spoiled man, and it'll all work out in the end. Like I said, people have far bigger problems than I am. So we are going to do something that we haven't done in a while and get right into football. There was a lot that happened today, guys. Can you even believe the amount of trades that went on the trade deadline today?
It was impressive. It was fun. It was fun. A lot of the times the NFL trade deadline comes and goes. Not a lot of people get moved or not a lot of big names moved. And today, it not only did the actual trades go down, but there were a lot of rumors to keep everybody's interest going all day long. So, it was a fun day.
Yeah, you had completed trades, you had rumors of trades, and then you have the Browns completely screwing up a trade. So I think you had everything. It was almost like an NFL Sunday out there today.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, Sal. It was almost like an NFL Sunday. It's funny. You talk about it, Steve. The NFL doesn't typically have these kind of trade deadlines. And, I think it was 2012 that they moved the trade deadline back 2 weeks to week 8, and it still didn't really take effect. But you really see, part of that is parity, right? In the NFL, there's a lot of teams that are still in contention. You never know when you're completely out of it. So week 8's still a little early for teams to really know whether or not they are buyers or sellers. Like in baseball, you should know by midseason whether or not your team's terrible. But football's a little different, and yet this year there seems to be more tanking going on. So, I want to ask you guys. We'll get into some of these deals in a little bit, but are the Bills screwing up tanking, or are they trying? I really can't figure this out.
The Bills, I mean, what are they, 5-2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're doing. I think they realize they got a good defense and they got to go for this year. You don't have that many opportunities to go for something like that. I know, looking back at the beginning of the year when they were unloading people, we thought they were tanking, but
well, then they trade Marcel Darius earlier in the week. And which to your point, Sal, they're 5-2. I was shocked by that. Why would you trade a top defensive lineman, even though he had fell out of favor and doesn't fit the scheme? He's got to be somewhat useful going down the stretch. And then all of a sudden they turn around and trade for a wide receiver today. So I don't know. It's weird to see teams like the Bills making moves like that. It's weird to see teams kind of giving up. But we'll get into all of that. And the first one I guess we have to start with, because it was more shocking to me probably than most of you out there, because I am a Patriots fan. But Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a second-round pick. Now, I'll tell you, as a Patriots fan, I went through all the stages of grief. Because around here Jimmy Garoppolo was thought of as the guy that was going to succeed Tom Brady. We had very high hopes for him. He looked good in his short time in relief during Brady's suspension, and in the preseason. He really looked like a guy that was good for this offense and was going to take over. And we all thought that somehow they were going to find a way to keep him. And, seeing him go for a second-round pick when you heard rumors in the offseason of them turning down first-round pick offers and things like that, it hurt. Steve, I'm not going to lie to you, it hurt.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. I'm sorry. That is unfortunate. I know that you were a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan, as you know. You purchased him in our dynasty leagues, thinking that he was.
You like to make fun of me for the price on the regular.
$100 million.
Well, now you own the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Eventually, when he starts starting games for them.
Week 12.
Week 12, yes, is
Week
what
12.
They are saying right now. But overall, for the move, I think that Kyle Shanahan has always been a big fan of his. I saw somewhere on Twitter today, which means it's absolutely 100% true, that when these quarterbacks were drafted, the class, Kyle Shanahan liked Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was it. So he's been high on Jimmy Garoppolo for a long time. This organization has shown with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan that if they want somebody, they're going to go out and try and get him. I thought that they were going to try to make a play for Kirk Cousins next year, but now they're going to, and they still might, because I believe Jimmy Garoppolo is only under contract for the rest of this season, which means they might end up having to fork out a bunch of money for a guy that they haven't really seen play. Maybe that's why they wanted to get him on his team. I don't know. But I do like the fit. I like that we're going to get to see him for this year. C.J. Beathard, Brian Hoyer, that tandem was doing nothing for San Francisco. So, yeah, why not? Let's get it going.
Garoppolo's not going anywhere. They said he's the future quarterback, and a worst case scenario, they franchise him for a year and watch him play under the franchise tag and make a decision that way. So I think absolutely he will be back in San Francisco next year. And you never know, Kevin. Maybe they franchise him 1 year, he doesn't want to stay, and he ends back up in New England after Tom Brady retires next season.
Yeah, there's definitely all kinds of talk in this area. Obviously, that's one of the things that's been brought up, that maybe, somehow there's a grand scheme for the Patriots to get him back at some point when Brady is, rides off into the sunset or whatever. But, as far as this move and what's going on with them, I think you're right, Steve. They're going to take a look at him through the rest of the year. I think you're right, Sal. I think he'll be there next year as well, because you can't judge someone after 6 games is all he's really going to get. So, I think they'll definitely franchise him in some way, shape, or form, or sign him to some kind of deal. I think that, Steve, you made fun of me quite a bit as far as the price that I paid for him, but I think this is the reason why, right? Obviously it would have been ideal for him to become the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots in a couple of years because I think it would have been a seamless transition. Not that he would have been as good as Brady, but he knows the offense. He would have been able to pick things up very quickly, and it's obviously a very talented offense. But I think one of the reasons that I paid for him was I felt that he was going to be a starting quarterback no matter what, right? Whether he was with the Patriots or he left the Patriots and went somewhere else. He was obviously going to be given a chance to become a starting quarterback, and I think that he's talented enough to be a very good quarterback in this league. Personally, from what I've seen from him, that's my belief. I think that he could be I've said this before, I think that he can be a top 15 quarterback in the league. So
hey, nobody thought Aaron Rodgers would be better than Brett Favre.
Yeah, hey. Wow.
Oh, Sal saying Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Tom Brady.
I think it's pretty clear. Pretty clear.
Yeah.
And I don't think that for.
You're trying to rile me up right now. So.
I do think he has. I think he's got good tools, and I think he's in a good spot to grow with a good offensive coach. So, as we've spoken about in the past, I play in a 32-team league where you can only own one quarterback at a time. You cannot have two quarterbacks on your roster at any time. And my team is really not going anywhere this year. So I added Garoppolo yesterday. I dropped Eli Manning, and I'm going to literally play without a quarterback for the next few weeks.
Sounds like a fun
league. I do feel good enough. Yeah, it is a fun league because the rules are like that for everybody. So everybody's dealing with something, and it's for men, Steve. And I know, and you know what? There's women in there. There's actually women in there who handle it much better than you. So I shouldn't say that. It's for everybody who can handle it, Steve Marcus. Yeah. So I think enough of Garoppolo that I was willing to drop a starting quarterback and play with that one for now.
I mean, you have to like what Shanahan has done with quarterbacks in his history, right? So he got the best out of Matt Ryan. He obviously developed Kirk Cousins into what he's become today. So along with the help of Sean McVay. So I think you have to, you have to like that, right? I mean, you have to like that opportunity for Garoppolo.
You like that?
That's right. So speaking of which, though, that is obviously, you mentioned it, Steve. A lot of people thought that Kirk Cousins was going to go there next year. Is it possible that Kirk Cousins is going to be stuck in Washington after all this time? Because obviously, with Jared Goff playing well in LA, Jimmy Garoppolo going to San Francisco, where else would Cousins end up?
Denver.
He could end up in Denver. That actually wouldn't be a bad fit.
That would be sweet.
Osweiler's going to be there. Don't worry about that.
Oh, my God. We're going to talk about this later. Let us move on. We've spent over 10 minutes on Jimmy Garoppolo. Come on. Other things happen.
You're welcome. Jay Ajayi was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles in return for a 4th-round pick.
Wait, what?
Yes.
When did that happen?
No, it happened today. I heard it.
I heard it. I saw it.
I'm pretty sure my daughter has no care in the world right now that I'm recording. She's just opening up the freezer and like everything's normal. This is awesome.
You got any waffles in there?
She had to move the waffles to get to the pizza rolls. Yes.
It's better than your dog snoring, I guess.
I mean, he's around here somewhere too. It's a gaggle of fraggles in this house.
All right. Well, let's continue on to Jay Ajayi. He obviously moves over to an offense that needs a running back. They've gotten limited production from LeGarrette Blount and Wendell Smallwood. Darren Sproles is on the shelf now. Ajayi obviously leaves a situation where he was having a terrible time blocking in that scheme and running in that scheme, and for some odd reason just couldn't get it together this season. Looked like he had fallen out of favor with the Miami coaching staff and is subsequently traded to the Eagles. Sal, do you think that the Eagles are a better fit for Ajayi than the Miami Dolphins?
I think, well, to go to your one point, I did hear everything I heard today was that Gase couldn't stand him. Absolutely couldn't stand him. And every time that he was not in practice and Drake filled in, that they loved what they were able to do with Drake. So that's to that point. Listen, we've gone on about Ajayi before. He's been hit or miss, but he has big playability and big game ability. Blount is who Blount is. Smallwood, who I really thought was in line for a really good game the other day, barely touched the ball. So I don't know what the hell happened there. I think that he comes in. He's the legit lead back. He gets the majority of the touches. And this balances out an offense that's been riding mostly on the arm of Carson Wentz. They've played really well. They have the record in the NFL. I felt like they were good enough before this happened. I think this makes them a legitimate contender to make it to the Super Bowl this year. We'll have to see what happens once they get there.
Yeah, it seemed like on Miami's side of the ball that they also had some concerns about the knees and injury, the degenerative knee issue, so everyone makes a big deal about that. But I wouldn't be surprised if more of it had to do with what Sal said, is that Gase just couldn't stand him anymore. I saw a tweet earlier in the morning before the trade happened that Gase was walking around the building all upset and wouldn't be surprised if something happened. So, I like the fit in Philadelphia. I do think that Wendell Smallwood is kind of going to be the odd man out here. He gets bumped down on the pecking order there, and they're going to go in between Ajayi and Blunt for the most part, even though neither one of them is a real pass-catching threat, but Carson Wentz seems to throw it to his wide receivers and Zach Ertz quite a bit. So I like the fit there. He can't do much worse than what he was doing in Miami, so he's going to be in a team that's very good, like Sal says, should probably have some positive game scripts, maybe give them a more opportunity to get some more touches there. So I like it.
So I think, one of the things for me, a lot of the Ajayi owners were excited when they heard this news today. I think they give up a 4th-round pick for him, which isn't a ton of draft capital, but, obviously people overrate these draft picks. But I'm a little concerned as far as if I were an Ajayi owner. I'm not, because I just didn't want to invest the capital it would take to have gotten him earlier in this season. And I don't own him in any dynasty rosters, but I'm a little concerned with him going to the Eagles. I mean, it's a better fit than Miami because I think they have a better offensive line. But at the end of the day, I don't think Blunt's going anywhere. I do think, Steve, I disagree with you a little that, Smallwood may be the odd man out, I guess, but I still think he's not going to just disappear completely. He's still going to be in line for some touches, and we've seen that all they're doing is throwing the ball these days. Now, I don't know if that's because they don't have effective running backs or if they just, that's the type of offense they want to run. But I'd be concerned if I were an Ajayi owner. I'm not sure that I'm expecting him to really increase in value much. He can't get much worse than he has been this season, but I'm not expecting him to be back to last year's form when he had, all those 200-yard days. So I'd pump the brakes on my excitement a little bit if I were an Ajayi owner.
You pump those brakes.
All right. And if there are no other thoughts on Jay Ajayi, then we will continue on to the Buffalo Bills we were discussing earlier. They did make an acquisition, as it appears as though they are going for it, even though they're trading away defensive linemen. But they acquire Kelvin Benjamin from the Carolina Panthers for a 3rd and a 7th round pick. So Kelvin Benjamin, now a Buffalo Bill, Steve. Obviously, they had a lack of any kind of semblance of a wide receiving core. Zay Jones just hasn't really done what we've expected him to do. They traded away Sammy Watkins. They let Robert Woods go. So, Kelvin Benjamin steps right in to be the man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. He kind of left the Panthers and then went to a team that's kind of exactly like the Panthers. They've got a quarterback that likes to run the ball and checks down quite often, and when he throws a deeper pass, it's not very accurate, and a team that has a pretty good defense and a team that likes to run the ball. So I think he steps into a very similar situation. He does obviously become the biggest wide receiving pass threat there, but Tyrod Taylor throws the ball to LaShawn McCoy all the time. So I don't think that's going to necessarily change very much. I think that we see very similar production out of Kelvin Benjamin as we had seen from him in Carolina. So, yeah, it was weird just to see that the similarities between those teams and how he just goes from one to the other, and it's kind of in the same spot.
This is the trade that came out of left field for me, more than the Ajayi trade, because I didn't know that Ajayi wasn't liked in Miami, but I didn't ever hear anything about Kelvin Benjamin not being liked. And so for a team that's in contention and a team that can win that division, because nobody's running away with that division, the Saints have gotten a little hot here, but the Falcons, who looked like one of the best teams in the league after 4 weeks, have looked very, very ordinary. So for them to get rid of him and put their eggs in the Funchess basket, Funchess is not a wide receiver one in this, not in fantasy. not for his team, and he never will be. I didn't understand it, especially without Greg Olsen there at this time. I don't know what that means for the future of Carolina, Cam Newton in Carolina, and what they're exactly doing over there. But I'll tell you, maybe it doesn't work out that great this year for Buffalo, Steve. But going forward beyond this year, and LaShawn McCoy's not getting any younger, I like what the wide receiver core is starting to look like with Benjamin, with Zay Jones now, who can move to an outside position where he's not getting, wrecked off the line all the time, being able to do anything. And even Jordan Matthews, who we know has a great talent and ability, and maybe doesn't always live up to it. But with those three guys together, maybe going forward after this year, that's going to be a nice wide receiver core. But I didn't understand this at all from Carolina's standpoint.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, obviously your team is still in contention, and I don't think Funchess is good enough to be a number one guy. So I agree with you completely there, Sal. And I just worry about, with Kelvin Benjamin, I worry about anyone in Buffalo. And my question, I guess, is, do you think Tyrod Taylor's going to be the guy next year? And I guess the answer for me is no. With those wide receivers that you talk about, I think they have to get a different kind of quarterbacking, because I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to spread the ball around. I think with McCoy getting older, you need to lean on your passing game a little bit more than you have been, because they're going to need to limit his touches as they go forward. So I'm curious to see what kind of quarterback they end up with, or whether or not they do, commit to Tyrod Taylor.
It's all about Peterman, baby.
I don't think it's about Peterman. I really don't. I disagree with you there, Steve. But I do think, from a fantasy perspective, if they don't bring in a different quarterback, I think you can continue to downgrade most of these guys, including Kelvin Benjamin. I mean, he'll be a red zone threat, but I think that's about it. My other question is, Steve, do you think that this has anything to do with Charles Clay and maybe his injury being worse than we're led to believe, that he may not be coming back and they need some kind of red zone threat?
I mean, it's possible, but I would be pretty surprised about that. I've heard that Charles Clay is kind of wanting to try and start practicing again already. So for him to be that far away to where they go out and make a move like this, I would be surprised about that. I think we'll see Charles Clay again this year, and I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right then.
Peterman!
All right, then we will move along to the Browns and their inability to do anything correctly. This is so funny to me. They attempted to trade for A.J. McCarron, and not only were they attempting to trade for A.J. McCarron, but they tried to give up 2 picks for him, a second and a third, if I am to believe the stories that are out there. And from what I'm hearing, the paperwork was signed by the Cincinnati Bengals and sent over to the Browns, who were supposed to sign the paperwork and send it into the NFL to complete the trade. And yet, for some reason, at one point today, it was reported that they were celebrating before they sent the paperwork, and they subsequently forgot to send the paperwork. I don't know if that's true or not. There are now reports out there that it was.
Yes,
okay.
That was said 100% not true.
There are now supposedly some reports that, obviously Hugh Jackson wanted to make this move, but maybe the front office sort of dragged their feet a little bit because they were not so inclined to make the move. I don't know. However you spin it, however you want, this is an absolute mess for the Browns.
Yeah,
it does sound.
Go ahead, Sal. Go ahead.
Steve obviously feels stronger on it than. No, you got it, buddy. Go ahead. Take it.
No, all I was going to say is that they could have had Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick. That's it.
Well, they wanted 2 first-round picks from them in the offseason, and they wouldn't give in to that. They settled for a second. But listen, Hugh Jackson does tend to overvalue players. You've seen that report today. Hugh Jackson was the guy who, when he was with the Raiders and Al Davis died, instantly traded away like 2 number 1 first-round picks for Carson Palmer, and the team immediately got rid of Hugh Jackson after that season, and Carson Palmer almost immediately in that trade buried them for a little while. It took a while for them to get out from under that. So, Hugh Jackson likes to be too involved, maybe, I think, in the front office stuff, and you got 2 guys there that are, especially Paul DePodesta was in Oakland, a disciple. He from that Moneyball era, and he doesn't like to spend stuff like that. He likes to do things differently, and I can almost guarantee you this was purposely not turned in on time, and then oh shucks type of thing. We can't do it now.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I agree with you. It seems like that would be the way it would go. I agree that it seems like an awful lot to give up for a quarterback. They could just go out and sign next year. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a free agent. I don't think the Bengals are going to franchise tag him, given they still have Andy Dalton on the roster. So I think that it's pretty clear they could just go out and sign him. So I get what you're saying, Sal. It's hard for me to believe that there would be that much of a disconnect between the coach and the GM that they would, purposefully withhold papers. Why wouldn't they just talk about it, discuss it, and say, no, we're not going to, we really shouldn't go in this direction. Let's wait and sign him in the offseason. We're 0-8. What's the point of trading away assets for a quarterback that we can sign when we're 0-8? It's not like he's going to help us this year anyway. So it's hard for me to believe that, but it is the Browns, so who knows? I think the real thing that has my eyebrow raised here is obviously AJ McCarron, and the fact that they, even though they didn't pull the trigger, whether they dragged their feet or not, there was talk about a second and a third round pick for him when Garoppolo only goes for a second. I don't know that I think AJ McCarron is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think you have to, for those of you playing dynasty formats or deep keeper leagues or things of that nature, I think AJ McCarron's a guy that you have to keep an eye on now at this point. And, he's going to get a job somewhere. We talked about it before. He's going to be one of those guys in that next tier of backup quarterbacks to get a job. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get one this year instead of waiting till next year. But McCarron will definitely be on the list of quarterbacks in the quarterback merry-go-round next year.
AJ McCarron, better than Tom
Yes.
Brady.
Ha!
Who's more upset that the trade did not go through today, the Bengals or Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson.
The Bengals. I got to say the Bengals.
The Bengals, they were hoping for those 2 picks.
Yeah, you're going to get a second and third round pick for a guy that's going to walk at the end of the year.
Hugh Jackson.
Absolutely.
I stand by
Hugh
it.
Jackson takes these defeats pretty hard. That's true.
I like how
Yeah.
Sal points out that it was the Carson Palmer trade that set the Raiders back, not the other several.
Yeah, not the previous
hundreds
10
of
years
terrible
of
moves.
drafting and all that kind of stuff.
No, listen. The organization was run poorly. I had said it for years that organization was not going to be good again until Al Davis died, and that was the impetus for the turnaround. It's just a fact. I think Al Davis was. You can never speak too much about what
Carson
meant to the
Palmer's
league.
fault.
What a
Carson
dick!
Palmer's fault.
What a dick! We're still going.
All right, let's
Let me
continue.
finish my. Go ahead. You go ahead. You continue because it's time for you to continue. Go ahead.
Let's keep moving here. No one cares about the Raiders this year. What is going on with the Raiders, Sal? I'll give you a chance to complain. What's going on with the
I'll
Raiders?
tell you what. How about you shut your face and keep moving? How's that? Shut your face. Keep
All
going.
right then. Can I do both? How is that possible?
Pick one.
Turn
All right.
the show over to Steve.
As of this recording, we are turning the show over to Steve.
All right. So Ezekiel Elliott's suspended right now. We don't.
No, we're not talking about
No.
this.
No. I actually think it's going to
So-
stick
No.
this time.
So we're not
Correct.
we're not turning the show over. to
All right.
Steve.
That was
Sal's
fast-lived.
dictating.
Sal,
Pick,
you're right.
pick up Alfred Morris. Pick up Alfred Morris. Let's go. Great. Next.
Listen, Ezekiel Elliott's he's already lost one of his appeals from the appeal. So I think he's got one left. Supposedly
Nothing
there will be
appealing about the story.
there'll be one left tomorrow at supposedly by 7 p.m. He will know the fate of this suspension. So it looks like there will finally at least be some finality to it.
Alfred Morris, get him.
And, yeah, everyone's saying Alfred Morris. Are you guys
Pick him
off the Darren
Yeah.
McFadden?
So's Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know that I trust Jerry Jones 100%.
How dare you? Man is a pillar of this society.
I don't know if you've noticed, he is a little crazy from time to time.
Oh,
Oh, he's crazy, and he is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So look, you're right. He came out today and said that Alfred Morris will be the starter. Obviously, we're going to see Darren McFadden become active. I think McFadden does more of what Zeke does. We saw it last year. So I think that eventually, whether it's in the beginning or because Alfred Morris fails, I think that you'll see more McFadden. So I would still probably lean more towards picking him up, but that's just me.
I have both.
Would you be willing to make a draft bet on Darren McFadden versus Alfred Morris?
Sure. This week? Sure.
Yeah, let's do it this week.
There's no
You got
hesitation
$1 I
right
can
there.
borrow?
I want you
None
both
whatsoever.
to also do it, even if Zeke is not suspended.
Well, that's fine. That's just a wasted roster spot, right? So
If he plays this week.
Yeah.
If Zeke plays this week, I will.
You still have to do it. You have Alfred Morris. Why would you not want to do that?
I'll lose my mind.
So the great thing about the draft app is, though, if you did draft a team with Ezekiel Elliott last week, and you probably felt pretty good about yourself, and now you can go ahead this week and draft a completely different team without Ezekiel Elliott, Steve.
Yeah, and it's happened quite a bit for all of these guys. All of the stars that have gone down so far this season, you don't have to worry about that on the draft app because you get to pick a new team each and every week. If you have got the inside information, you know a certain guy is going to have a huge game in his matchup, you get him, you own him, you are the one that gets to benefit from his production on the field, and you get to make a bunch of money. So I don't understand why you wouldn't be taking every opportunity that you can to do that.
Yeah, it might be fun. Why don't you just draft only guys this week that play for a team that they didn't play for last week?
Oh, that could
might
be
a lot of
interesting.
fun. You might do pretty well, too, with that. Garoppolo's probably not going to stop, but what the hell? Draft him anyway. It's your team. Do it. And listen, I mean, I don't remember a season where things have been so different on a week-to-week basis, from injuries to trades to guys being cut to guys losing jobs to guys being benched to guys stealing bicycles. I don't know what the hell is going on in the NFL this year, but none of it has anything to do with what you planned on at the beginning of the year when you drafted the team, and that's why the draft app is awesome, because every week, based on those changes, you could draft a whole new team, a whole new roster, and start over again.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the other things I love about the draft app is that you can change. Not only can you change your team every week, you can change what you bet. You can change how you bet. There's different formats you can get in. You can get in the dream team scenarios where you're picking. It's not a snake draft, and you can pick whoever you want. You can get in there and you can do your snake drafts, but you can do them in any size. You can do 2 players. You can do 5 players. You can do 10 players. You can do different denominations of cash value and win different prizes. You can do something as low as $1, or you can win $10 from your friends. So you can customize it however you want. You can draft different players in different positions. You can do quarterback only, which is a few of our guys in our chats have been doing, and they've been having a lot of fun with that. Sal, did you know about the expert function? I was telling Steve about this on the last podcast. You can do an expert function where you can eliminate all of the top tier players at every position from the availability. So you have to dig a little deeper. That might be a good fit for you.
Yeah, I was actually challenged by Tyler Kuthner from Dynasty Happy Hour podcast, and I played against him this week. And basically, it takes out for the current week's rankings the top 10 quarterbacks, the top 20 running backs, and the top 20 combined wide receivers and tight ends. So, Wendell Smallwood kind of buried me in that matchup this week, but he had the Deshaun Watson. I could almost pretty much have not drafted anybody that would have beat Deshaun Watson this past week, unless I had Russell Wilson, who was not available because it was an X draft. So yeah, I did know about. Did you know, Kevin? Did you see the email that came out today for the draft app about their weekly ribbon, as you call it, participation ribbon, or kickback to the people and the users? So you get a $1 ticket if you had Juju Smith-Schuster on your roster this week. But what you also get is an entry into a drawing for a new bike based on Juju Smith's recent bike mishap. The draft app is giving away a bicycle to anyone who the eligible people are anybody who had him on their roster. So they keep continuing to do different things for the users and the people who put their money into the app on a weekly basis.
Definitely a great group of people that run the app, and they've been good, very responsive. So you want to go to playdraft.com/falafel. You want to go to the Playdraft app on iTunes or the Google Play Store and use promo code falafel. That's FLAFFL. And if you do that and deposit $10, they will get you into a free contest where you can get started to win a whole lot of money. So playdraft.com/falafel or promo code falafel, FLAFFL, when you download the app on iTunes or Google Play Store. So definitely get in there and, get in the game. So we will continue on here, though. We will talk about very quickly, Steve, I want to ask you about the Denver quarterback situation. It came out today that some are saying that they're going to stick with Simeon. Some are non-committal. Some are saying they're switching to Paxton Lynch. We have no idea really what's going on. Personally, I think why not go to Paxton Lynch at this point? Simeon's been absolutely dreadful. And from a fantasy perspective, it's impacting our wide receivers here because they have very talented wide receivers that are being underutilized.
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders has been dealing with an ankle injury, so he hasn't been there. But yeah, absolutely. Demaryius Thomas has seen a hit. Their running game has seen a hit. That's not all on Simeon. That also has something to do with their offensive line. And first, why not trade or go to Paxton Lynch if he is healthy and available? We've seen that Trevor Siemian has not been able to consistently put weeks or games together week to week to week. And but other than that, why not do something at this trade deadline? They could have had Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick. That's better than what they got Paxton Lynch for. So they obviously have a quarterback situation that they need to take care of. And I don't know why they're just wasting years of this defense. I feel like we've been saying this for a couple years now, that this defense is going to get wasted by not having an offense that can keep up in case the defense lets them down just a little bit. If their offense can't even put up 20 points a game, then it just puts all that much more pressure on the defense. So I wish they would have done something today. Hopefully they'll do something in the offseason because I'm not sure if their quarterback of the future is on this roster right now.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Paxton Lynch did not look good when he was in, so even if they make that move, you'd have to see some pretty impressive improvement by him before you, as Sal pointed out, see Osweiler come in to save the season.
Yeah, not happening. They've got 3 just ugly options. So, yeah.
But they're all tall.
They are all tall. I miss week 2. After week 2, everything was all fine.
Memories. I can't see them going to Lynch right now because the guy's practiced 3 times this season, and the whole reason he couldn't take the position over in the first place because he just wasn't getting it. So you really want to toss? God, I wish I could speak like a
human.
Like a human.
Yeah.
You want to toss? You want to toss the season away?
That's not
Go ahead,
better.
put Paxton Lynch in there. You want to regret hating Trevor Siemian? Go ahead and put Paxton Lynch in there. It's going to be a hell of a lot worse. I would turn to Brock Osweiler. I honestly would.
Wow. Those are words that no one has said.
Yeah, I think we need to move along here.
All right, let's talk about Dwayne Brown to the Seahawks. You guys always make fun of me for my offensive line takes, but the Seahawks go out and trade for a... Listen, this is a big deal in my mind for the Seattle Seahawks. Their offense.
It is a big deal. Nobody breaks your balls about offensive linemen. I think you sit in a bathtub at night and dream this crap up.
It's false. You got
prove that you're not in the bathtub tonight. You can't.
I can't prove that.
That's right. Sal, you're onto something.
So half of that statement was true then.
As soon as we're done with this podcast, I'm going to cry with a glass of wine in the shower. So.
Put on some Sarah McLachlan.
Wow. Oh, man. All right. I think this is a good thing for the Seahawks. That's it.
I agree. No, their offensive line is absolute garbage, and so getting a tackle of this caliber can only mean better things for them, for their rushing, for keeping Russell Wilson safe. It's a good win for them.
If you saw that, who was it? Lane? Was that who was it? He failed his physical.
Lane. Yes,
he's now back with Seattle, which has got to be a really great feeling.
Hey,
around the
back,
locker room.
buddy.
Hey, like Richard Sherman's looking over at Cam Chance, like, dude, wasn't he traded? What is he doing? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, it fell through. Oh, hey, man. All right.
I never wanted them to.
You think they let him? You think they still let him eat lunch at the lunch table with the other cornerbacks, or does he get excluded now?
No, he's an outcast.
He's definitely not at the cool kid table. That's for sure.
That's too bad. All right, let's continue on here. Martavis Bryant told you that he is part of the Week 10 game plan. Steve.
Yeah.
He told you that. personally. I heard he called you.
Yeah, he did. Me and him talk from time to time. And, he said he's been told that he is part of the Week 10 game plan, but I'm not trusting him. After the game that Juju Smith-Schuster had last week, I don't see why you would just put Martavis Bryant back into your lineup. Juju Smith-Schuster seems to be the guy there now, and I would just like to apologize for him because during the draft process, I was not his biggest fan. He has absolutely proved me wrong on and off the field. Has been a lot.
Plus, you hated his mother.
I had nothing bad
weird.
to say about his mother.
All those bad things you said about his mom. That was a little uncomfortable for everyone.
I don't say anything bad about anyone. Anyway, I apologize, and I'm sad.
Why are you apologizing if you didn't say anything bad?
Because I feel like things could have been misconstrued a little bit. Things get heated during the draft evaluations. Man, tell you what, I'm sorry. That's all.
Listen, let me ask you this, Sal. Do you think that Martavis Bryant can resurrect his career at all, or do you think that this situation in Pittsburgh will eventually run itself out, and then he's not really going to be effective in any other type of offense going forward? Is this a guy that we waited a long time for nothing?
No, I think his career is done in Pittsburgh. I don't think that means he can't be effective. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks can throw a deep ball. This guy gets open deep. Him and Roethlisberger were never on the same page this year. They never were in sync. I don't know that does or doesn't have anything to do with Ben's comments before the season or any of that stuff. But no, I don't think that Tomlin is happy with him. I don't think he'll be a big part of this offense. I think that was more just, we're going to keep you because, hey, we're leading this division. We're going to go to the playoffs. We're going to be on a typical position. Should Juju get injured or something like that happen, we're going to keep you around. We could put you in there. We know that you could do the job, but I think his career in Pittsburgh is done, barring an injury this year. He's moved in the offseason, or I don't know if he's a free agent, whatever the case is. But no, I think he could go be effective somewhere else. He's got talent. He's got speed. He's got relatively decent hands. No, he could go play in New England next year and flourish.
Wow, that would be nice.
Wow.
You guys get everything.
Receivers. Yeah, we always do.
Spoiled bastards.
Plus, as far as Pittsburgh is concerned, it's not like they're gonna, turn to Darius Hayward-Bay. So,
the man's on the field every week.
Where did he come from again? Who drafted him?
Sunny Oakland, California.
All right, let's continue on. Danny Woodhead has resumed practicing. He could be active by week 11. Steve,
yes.
Do you care about this?
Yeah. He is.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. He's a good fit for that offense. They've got nobody else on that team. All their wide receivers are hurt. Their tight ends can't stay healthy. They've got Alex
Buck
Collins.
Allen.
They've got Buck Allen as well. Alex Collins is shown there now. But I think Danny Woodhead will come in and he will be a little passing down back, and he gets production when he is on the field. You can't rely on him to stay healthy, as we've already seen, but when he plays, he produces. So I would definitely be looking to pick him up if he is available on the old waiver wire.
So, Steve, let me ask you this. I'm a big Alex Collins fan. I've liked him since I liked him back in Seattle, and unfortunately that backfield got crowded with people who are far worse than him, and he got cut, and now he moves over to Baltimore. He's finally starting to see some success. Is this going to eat into his production? Are you concerned, or will they be more of a complementary duo, and Buck Allen's going to be the guy on the outs?
I think that would be correct. I think Baltimore would be smart to give Alex Collins the bulk of the carries, but Danny Woodhead can run the ball through the tackles, but his best asset is pass catching. So I think that they could mix both of those guys in. I agree Buck Allen would be the guy to lose out on the most amount of volume there.
I don't think you want to run Woodhead too much right now because of the injuries and stuff. You'll get him back, use him for what he's best at, which is catching the ball. It'd be nice to see him and Collins together in that backfield. Kevin Cotillo, I have a question for you. Better future in the NFL, Alex Collins or CJ Procise?
Well, I mean, you have to be on the field in order to have a better career. I think that Procise is a more talented back. I like them both a lot. I think Procise is a more talented back. I unfortunately don't think that he's been able to stay healthy enough, and even more so, I don't know that because of his health, I don't know that the Seahawks or anyone else for that matter are going to be willing to give him a chance to be a 3-down back, which I think he can be. So you're asking me to pick one for more production the rest of their career? Is that what the question is?
That was a question like 3 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I rambled. I guess Collins, because I think he'll stay healthy, and I do like what he's doing as far as a runner.
What a great question that was.
Yeah,
thank you.
It hurts.
Thank you.
You're trying to bring me down. I was starting to feel better, and you're trying to bring me down.
No, I was just saying. I think next year no one's going to care about either of these guys.
Oh, wow. Seriously, Steve, out of the way that you've seen Alex Collins run, you don't think that that's a talented guy that should get a shot somewhere?
No, he's looked good. I'm just giving you some crap. Alex Collins has looked really good. So,
all right. Josh Gordon has not looked good because he has not played in a very long time, but he has a hearing for reinstatement.
Can we file this under? Can we file this under Ezekiel Elliott, please?
All right. Moving on. We'll get back to this one on Thursday when we have more.
All right. Sounds good. David Johnson, unlikely to return this season, according to, I believe it was Bruce Arians. So
yeah, smart move on their part. They lost Carson Palmer. They're probably not going to be in contention. What? Who? Your dog?
No, Bruce Arians.
Oh, yeah. I heard he's pretty connected to the team. But, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to bring him back. So, sad lost season for David Johnson, but I acquired him in the Dynasty League, so I'm just waiting for 2018, baby.
Actually, own him in a lot of Dynasty Leagues, and I'm kind of glad they're not bringing him back at this point. It's just, so he would only get hurt again. I feel like because that team is just going to be so deflated, they're not going to do anything but short dump offs to David Johnson. So they might as well just let him rest. They're not going anywhere with Drew Stanton, that's for sure. So, I am curious if they give Blaine Gabbert a shot and if that helps them kind of stay afloat. But whether or not they're in contention, I don't know.
I found it interesting that, especially even in the Scott Fishbowl, I saw a lot of people ran out and added Gabbert and did not add Stanton. So I just picked him up, drew him on my despicably disgusting roster just to have him.
Yeah, I think my Scott Fishbowl hopes have been dashed this week, but I'll continue to play along and hope for the best. But the team's not looking good, so. This one you might actually care about, Sal. Marshawn Lynch didn't show up to practice today. I guess it's reported that they expect him to kind of come back tomorrow. Today was a small workout, but they did think he was going to be there, but he didn't show up. So what's going on with Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah, nonetheless, regardless of what it was, you just came off of a suspension. You should try to at least be somewhat on your best behavior and go in there. And you know what? I said it to you last week. For me, he's a bust. Don't cut him. Just put him on your bench and leave him there because he's going to return to be the starter. He's got that touchdown potential, but this is just more of the same. And maybe as great of an idea as it seemed to bring him home, he's enjoying being home a little bit too much. And that might be part of the reason why the team's not playing as well this year. Maybe a guy who you thought would come in, be an experienced veteran and a leader has really taken it more as a joke and playtime. And everybody else is not getting what they need. So right now I feel like this was not a great move for the Raiders. I loved it when it happened. I don't want to be one of those guys. I really did. I did originally want Adrian Peterson there. You guys remember that. That was the first guy I wanted him to get, but I was happy when they got Lynch. Bad fit right now.
Did you pour one out for Adrian Peterson too?
He'll be fine.
Oh, he will.
Mm-hmm.
With Drew Stanton.
Yeah, it's all the more reason to lean on. Lean on me.
Oh, jeez.
Should have sang Lean on AP.
I walked right into that one, huh?
Man, we almost got out of here without that.
Some days you just can't avoid it, I guess.
Yep.
At least he's not singing, the theme to Top Gun, right? So
yeah,
just
could be worse.
Oh, wait, you go ahead.
What?
We all need.
Did someone throw it to me? I'm sorry. I was listening to Sal sing.
Yeah.
I got caught up.
This is awkward. I'll throw it to you right now. You can go ahead. Well, that's it. We've done all the news we can, and we gotta get out of here pretty quick. So go ahead, Steve.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check us out on Twitter at Falafel House. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also go to falafelhouse.com and see the content that we put out there weekly, including our rankings and our sink or swim, all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, go check that out. Sal.
Thank you guys for coming back tonight after I left the show in Steve and Kevin's hands last week. I appreciate you guys still coming back and listening. I'm just kidding. You guys did a great job. I always listen back. And you guys always do a fantastic job. Proud of my little buddies. And that's it, man. I got nothing else going on.
Aw.
Well, thanks, Steve. Sal. That was really sweet of you. You're a nice
jerks.
guy.
Let's go. Let's move it along.
You're just no. I've been obviously complaining a little bit lately, but that was really nice. I'm going to try and be in a better mood. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I just want to remind you that you can still do charitable actions with your fantasy football experience. You can donate a league fee. You can donate your winnings. So definitely do that. Obviously, Scott Fish and his fantasycares.net has raised a lot of money for Toys for Tots, and they'll be keep an eye on his timeline as we get closer to the holiday season, because he'll be posting all the pictures and videos of all the good things that people that join those leagues have done. So, it's a great thing that he does, and I encourage you to find a way to do it in your own league as well. So with that, we will be back on Thursday to preview all of the weekend's games. And until then, Steve, hit the button.